Helen had pressed her blue dress the night before the wedding, smoothing the fabric with careful hands that had once buttoned tiny shirts and wiped sticky fingers. The dress was modest, nothing fancy, but she had chosen it because her son once said blue was her color. He had been 12 then. That memory felt like it belonged to another woman now. She arrived early, as she always did, and sat alone in the third row of the church. Not the front. She had not been asked to sit there. Not with the family of the bride. Not beside her son. She understood, or at least she told herself she did. Helen was 63 years old and had raised her son, Daniel, mostly by herself. His father had left when Daniel was 5, walking out one rainy evening with a suitcase and a promise to call. The call stopped after a year. Helen stayed. She stayed through double shifts at the diner, through nights of fever when she slept sitting upright in a chair beside Daniel's bed, through parent-teacher conferences where she smiled too hard and apologized too much. She stayed when he slammed doors, when he said he hated her, when he grew quiet and distant in college. She stayed even when love stopped being returned. When the ceremony ended, Helen clapped politely, tears sliding down her cheeks. She told herself they were happy tears. She practiced that lie until it almost worked. The reception was held in a bright hall filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the warm smell of roasted chicken. Helen sat at a table near the back with people she didn't know, friends of the bride who smiled at her kindly but did not ask who she was. Then came the speeches. The best man spoke first, telling stories of college mischief and loyalty. The bride spoke next, her voice trembling with joy. Helen listened closely, hoping, quietly, foolishly, that Daniel might mention her when it was his turn. Just a sentence, just her name. Daniel stood, straightening his jacket. He looked handsome. He always had. He laughed before he even began. "I guess I should thank everyone who helped make me the man I am today," he said, pausing. The room chuckled. Helen's heart lifted. "Or maybe the man I survived becoming." Laughter rolled through the room. Daniel continued, his tone casual, careless. "Growing up wasn't exactly a fairy tale. Single mom, no money, a lot of lessons I had to unlearn." More laughter. Someone clapped. Helen felt her hands go cold. He didn't look at her. Not once. "I learned early what I didn't want in life," he said, raising his glass, "and thankfully today I'm starting the life I chose." The laughter grew louder. Helen felt each sound like a small stone thrown against her chest. She smiled. She had practiced that too. When the speech ended, everyone stood. Helen stood as well, clapping softly, her palms barely touching. Her ears rang, her vision blurred. She wondered if anyone could see her heart breaking in real time, right there between the white tablecloths and centerpieces. No one came to her table. Later, she slipped outside into the cool evening air. The sun was setting, painting the sky with colors she used to point out to Daniel when he was small. He had loved sunsets once. He used to say they looked like the world was forgiving itself. Helen sat on a bench and finally let herself cry. Not loudly, not dramatically, just the quiet, exhausted tears of a woman who had loved too much and been left behind by the very person she had built her life around. She did not hate her son. That was the cruelest part. She still loved him, even after the mockery, even after the insult wrapped in laughter, even after being erased from his happiness. When the wedding ended, Helen left without saying goodbye. She placed the gift she had saved for months to buy on the table near the door. Inside was a handwritten note she never expected him to read. I hope your life is everything you wanted. I always did. Years later, Daniel would remember the speech differently. He would remember the laughs, the applause, the way it felt to be free of his past. Helen would remember the sound of her son's voice turning her sacrifice into a joke, and how, even then, she prayed silently for his happiness. Some loves do not end with gratitude. Some loves simply endure, unseen, unwanted, and unreturned.